Let's have a look-see at something that just showed up at my door. The Metabo DS150 grinder. Very cool. This meatball comes from Germany, the strudel type of meatball, not the Japanese hibachi meatball. Meatball HPT. Don't quite know what HPT stands for, but I presume it has something to do with human papillomavirus. Yeah, this came just now. Came from the Homeless Despot of Canada. Just like this, not wrapped in a double box or anything. And this carton is just shy of the bottom falling out. But it arrived. Fantastic. So I buy a meatball instead of some other garden variety. Well, first of all, meatball is a fantastic name. Everybody knows that. But also, even more importantly, I was just randomly searching on the internet, and I found that Home Despot in Canada had it for a ridiculously cheap price, so I jumped on it. It was cheaper than the default grinder, and frankly, it was only about $30 more than a Ryobi piece of junk. Now, as is human nature, we do tend to make pretty spurious decisions, and then only after the fact do we actually go back and justify extensively why it is that we made such a fantastic decision in the first place. So let me digress a little bit with some Google Foo. I looked at a lot of generic OEM type house brand grinders, and I also looked at the Default, the Makita, and a few other brand names. And frankly, it looks like they might all be actually the same. For instance, the Makita, check this out here. Makita is like a fantastic brand. Just a little bit of Google Foo will find that there's lots of iterations of this by house brands. Clearly not a fantastic product. It doesn't really get the best reviews anyways. Another main brand name is the Default grinder, the Default 6-inch grinder, about 150 Canadian beans. Looks good, heavily built, but the base seems to be exactly a clone of a lot of cheap grinders. Now, it is possible that Default gets their bases from some supplier in China. Who knows? Some iron foundry that makes frying pans and whatever iron parts, and maybe that's why so many grinders look alike, is because they all use the same base or some similar variant. And frankly, I'm not entirely sure that the meatball grinder is actually that much different. I have found a few on Intertube that do look a little bit like it. Nonetheless, it is still somewhat unique in its appearance. I haven't seen any base like that. The motor, some similarities, but never exact. And certainly the wheel covers and the guards seem to be unique to this grinder. So hopefully, Meatball, even if they did contract this out and are just licensing some OEM product, hopefully they had a significant amount of input in the development of this product, and hopefully it's a little bit better than the typical one. Well, let's find out. Inside, we find a manual package, warranty cards and other paper. We see a guard, nicely packaged up. Another, not a guard, I guess it's the tool rest. And these here are going to be the guards. Yeah, so there's one guard. Here's another. And that does not look good. It's a good thing that this grinder is all packaged up with that styrofoam, and hopefully that styrofoam did prevent some damage. Obviously, this UPS deliverer didn't handle this box very well. And I have to be careful turning this on, because I understand that if these grinders are dropped, that the wheels might shatter, and well, that could be problematic when you turn it on. Okay, let's pull it out. See if there's any damage other than to just the styrofoam. Okay, it looks relatively intact. Give me a second here and I'm going to throw it up on the bench. And voila! Okay, first impressions. It's all in one piece. It's the little styrofoam bits. Looks intact, no scratches. So at least it arrived here intact. It's kind of cold, so some humidity's condensing on it. This label's not stuck on very well. Okay, let's take a look at our labels. First of all, we got our meatball label up at the top. Just a sticker, not a very good one. It was already delaminating from the motor. I just punched it down. Maybe the humidity. It's kind of cold. Maybe the humidity caused it to lift up. Underneath, we got our safety ratings, Canadian Standards Association, Canadian and American rating. Down below, we got our very, very cool Guy safety glasses sticker. Let's flip her around and see if there's anything on the back or on the bottom. Yep, a few things on the back. Okay, so we have the model number DS150, HO in China. 120 volts, 60 hertz, 450 watts, 3.8 amps. Cool Guy and safety glasses again. On the bottom side, we only got one decal here that says isolate from mains before removing cover. And the cover is made out of ABS. Now the grinder is quite a bit lighter than the typical grinder. Most grinders have a big, heavy cast iron base. This magnet here, it seems to be cast aluminum, a little bit lighter in weight. It has about 23 pounds. Most 6-inch grinders seem to be around 30 or a little bit more than that in weight. I imagine weight in grinders is just to provide some extra stability, just to weigh it down in case there's a little bit of imbalance in these wheels. Since they're using aluminum and a lightweight base and somewhat lighter overall for the unit, apparently these wheel covers are aluminum as well. Actually steel. Hopefully Meatball has spec'd this motor and the overall system higher, and they trust that it's not going to be vibrating despite the lower weight. Let's fire it up. Okay, first blood. Hopefully there isn't going to be any blood because I aimed the wheels away from me, just in case they fly apart and go kablooey. Yeah, that vibratory sound, that was just my shaky, wobbly bench. We'll upgrade it right away. It runs quiet. Very quiet. Still going. And still going. No, strain relief, not being a hand tool, probably doesn't really need it. That's not very encouraging. Fit and finish, it's so-so. There's some paint chips here, some paint chips over here as well. Curiously, these bolts were painted after the motor was assembled. Unevenness here in the finish, or is that unevenness in the casting underneath? I think just the finish. The switch has a bit of an annoying condom on it that makes it very mushy. Not sure whether these things are really necessary. Let me know in the comments what you think. Most grinders don't have them. Huh. Okay, let's have a look-see inside this thing. So one thing I do notice taking this apart is that these rubber feet are really on the soft side, and they're already eroding. And they scratch off, little rubber bits scratch off quite easy, and it's leaving black marks all over my work desk. And we're in. These rubber feet are really chintzy. Look at that. They're lopsided in their shape. They're really soft. They got all sorts of hang-ons from the molding process. It's a very soft rubber, which I imagine is formulated for vibration isolation. but it's already leaving black marks all over my workbench, so I can't imagine these lasting very long. And it really does seem to be a part made to cost, low cost. Cable's 105 degree rated, 18 American wire gauge, Jinyi brand, SJT thermoplastic, and a little bit on the stiff side, not too bad. But seeing that as a bench tool, I'm not sure how important that is. And once inside, we see the power mains comes in here just underneath, behind this capacitor. The ground connects to the motor, and there's a separate lead that takes the ground to the base, so they're both properly grounded, even though they're painted. The mains voltage, both lines, the hot and the neutral, go to the switch, so it's a double throw switch. That seems like a nice touch. I suspect that a number of cheaper grinders probably use only a single throw switch on the hot line. The switched voltage then dives into the motor, into this grommeted hole here, and we got two white lines come out to the starter capacitor. Basically, the purpose of the starter capacitor is to delay a phase in one of the field windings, and what that delayed phase does is it gets the motor properly started in a single direction that it's supposed to be going. Capacitor is JX cap, 25 microfarads, pretty standard starter capacitor for an induction motor. The base, I'm pretty certain it's aluminum, not zinc. It's quite thin-walled. That's like maybe a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch in thickness, depending on where you're feeling. Pretty sure it's aluminum because where the paint is not attached, or where it's been worn off, like in these screw holes, the metal is quite bright and white inside, so that seems to be more aluminum-like than zinc, which is usually a dull gray color. A little peephole into the motor, and we can see that this motor was only painted with a single coat of spray paint, and they didn't even bother to cover up these holes, and we can see the field windings and the string and some other motor components in there have overspray on them. Not very good attention to details. This grommet here is not even fully seated. Guards are stamped sheet metal, about 2 millimeters in thickness, pretty basic. The tool rest is really on the small side. This is about 1.5 inches wide by about 1 inch in depth. The visual guard just uses a thumb lock. You can set it where you like. These are fully adjustable to get the guards nice and close to the wheel. They recommend better than 2 millimeters, and all that. That's quite easily achieved. Nonetheless, if I do keep this grinder, I'm gonna almost certainly want to replace this with something on a machine on my own, a larger platform for more precision grinding. Additionally, it'd be nice to be able to have an adjustable angle, and this offers absolutely no adjustment for the angle. You can see back there, that's just a stud that holds this guard in a parallel fashion and just keeps it from wobbling around. These wheel covers are nicely finished. It's a gray powder coat, pretty thick, seems pretty durable. Now, a claim to fame for Meatball is that their wheel cover attaches with this bayonet system, which supposedly makes it much easier to remove a wheel cover and change your wheel, put in a wire wheel or something like that. So let's have a look at it. I'll do one. These screws, they have some sort of mystery brown Chinese oil, I guess, to help reduce the seizing of these bolts. So now that they're undone, it should be a simple matter of twisting this, and then you can pull it off. Well, that's interesting. You can't twist it all the way with the blade guard. That's idiotic. You need to remove the blade guard to get this wheel cover off. That really defeats the purpose. And on top of that, I did look at this earlier, and these bolts are captive. You can't pull them all the way out just so that you can lift the wheel cover right off. I want to fight with the tool rest on the other side, so I'm going to do it on this side here. I know it comes off a little bit easier. So I have these screws loosened up. Just got to twist it like a bayonet, and it should sort of come off easy. Even this one here, the blade guard's kind of in the way. There we go. Fit is 3/4. Righty loosey on the left hand side. Ooh, the machining here is just awful. Look at that burr. Seems like cast iron. It's really pretty rough. Even the bore is not machined. Even the bore is a little bit on the rough side. Yeah, definitely. Wheel it comes with 6" by 3/4 by 12. Metabo branded. Made in PRC, Germany. Huh. This one as well. Cast iron. And is that something inside it? Huh. The bearing's a 6202RZ. It's a standard roller skate bearing. Has a 15mm interior diameter, so the shaft is stepped down to 1/2 inch. Got an indicator on it. Let's check out the runout. See that the runout is about 2/100ths of a millimeter, or that's about a thou. Cancerous mystery schmoo. Looks like used motor oil. Once again, this easy-to-use bayonet system is proving to be a little bit less than completely easy to use. There we go. Hey, let's have a look at it electrically. We got 120 volts here about. Settles in just a little bit under 1.5 amps. There's no load. It's about 146 watts. Power factor is about 0.85. Throw it back on watts and give it a little bit of work to do with some scrap. Now it's rated for 450 watts. Not sure how often I'll get it up to consuming that much though. Seems to be sipping power. So, do I have room for this tool? For the time being. I need a bench grinder. It does the trick. But frankly, there are a few quality control issues. Methinks that it is just a Chinese OEM will manufacture it for you at the lowest possible cost possible, and yeah, it kind of shows in a lot of regards. Yeah, that meatball name, I don't know, like, guys, get your acts together. But anyways, I'll keep it for now. I got an eBay search bookmarked for a Baldar grinder. Maybe one of these days, if one comes up for a fair price, I might jump on it. Until next time, remember, there's always room for tools. I'm not so sure about this one, but I'll keep it for now.